In this video, we're going to take a closer look at the life of Naomi Judd, who lost her battle with mental illness last week at the age of 76. Welcome to The Radioactive Patient, a mental health, art, and music mashup. I'm Allison Strong, your host. While I'm not a YouTube influencer, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, I am someone who has struggled with depression for the last 30 years, and I've done my research for this video, including reading this book, Naomi Judd's depression recovery memoir, River of Time. Naomi Judd will be forever remembered as the fighter she was. She had mental illness going all the way back to great-grandparents, on both sides of her family tree. And as such, she grew up experiencing unspeakable acts of neglect. Like I say, it's in the book, but a lot of stuff that she had to push down just in order to survive. In the book, Naomi Judd talks about how she picked up with bad men whose behavior mirrored what she had grown up with, mirrored the familiar. You know the old phrase, better the devil you know than the devil you don't? When she decided to strike out on her own, Naomi Judd put herself through nursing school, and it was when she was working as an ICU nurse in 1983. It was in Nashville. She had her daughter, A-list actor Ashley Judd, and her oldest daughter, Winona, and they were living together in Nashville, and they caught the ear of some bigwigs at RCA Records. They signed her to a record deal. And when she called her dad and told him the news, he goes, "You're not going to give up your day job, are you?" And it just crushed her. So the duo, the Judds, were unstoppable from 1983 until 1991, when Naomi felt herself getting weaker and foggier and dizzier, and she found out that she had hepatitis C through no fault of her own. She caught it working in the ICU, and she was told to get her affairs in order and get ready to die. Except she didn't die. She went through a really harsh course of interferon, which back then was just as likely to kill you or make you terribly depressed as it was to cure you. And she also combined the interferon with holistic treatments like acupuncture, nutrition, mind-body work. She was very focused on the interplay between mind and body. A couple years later, Naomi Judd was pronounced cured, and her and Winona reformed the Judds, and they went on the encore tour, except they fell into a trap, and the trap was reality television. Oprah Winfrey's channel had just started, and it was decided that it would be great programming, you know, like the Kardashians, to film every waking minute of the mother and daughter duo. Naomi talks about this in her book and how it fractured her relationship with her oldest daughter. And so that career of hers, right, it was put on hold in 1991, revived in 2011, and then everything came to a crashing halt. No more, come over and have coffee with the daughter. No more putting on costumes and going on stage and making people happy. And it just all factored together. So she tried to tough out these panic attacks and suicidal ideation for a couple years. And then finally, she went to a Nashville psychiatrist. In her book, she talks about how the medications this psychiatrist gave her changed her into a person that you wouldn't want to know, and that she had no idea when she was going in that she would turn into this doctor's guinea pig. It's amazing how insane psychiatry can be. This doctor gave her one selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, drugs like Prozac. He gave her one SSRI after another. First it was Lexapro, then Celexa, then it was Paxil, then it was Zoloft, then it was Luvox. You would think that a psychiatrist would go, oh, if an SSRI isn't working, maybe I should try a different kind of antidepressant. But no. Not only that, the psychiatrist did not bother to let one drug clear out of her system before he started the next drug. So all these SSRIs are overlapping, and she's getting more suicidal, more agitated. Now she's given benzodiazepines, Klonopin, Ativan, Valium. There was one more, Xanax, for her anxiety. This becomes an even deeper grave dug her. So it's no surprise that in her first treatment center, she ends up having to deal with the detox from Klonopin, which has a wicked 60-hour half-life. I mean, a couple days later and you're still in massive withdrawals. One time when I went to treatment, the medical director there, if he saw someone that was on Klonopin, the first thing he'd do is take them off of it. Next up is an actual drug rehab, Luxury, where she continues to detox and work on her anxiety. But they end up sending her to a trauma center in Scottsdale, Arizona. She still is totally depressed, has panic attacks, and is feeling like life's not worth living. Now we're into our beginning of the third year of this struggle. Her next stop is total crazy town, a lockdown psych ward where she's given Seroquel, an antipsychotic that doesn't agree with her, forces her to be a drooling, crawling, immobile, unable to think person, but the doctors don't listen and she just is in this chemical straitjacket. Finally, she realized that not all psychiatrists are created equal, and she sought out the best. She found this doctor in Boston, thought, well, antidepressants aren't working. Let's do electroconvulsive therapy. So she did that for weeks on end. She had strange side effects. It blew out her taste buds. Can you just imagine going to your doctor and saying, listen, everything that I eat tastes like rat poison, and having the doctor look at you and go, I've never heard of that before. Inference, you're making this up. When the ECT didn't work, the doctor tried Parnate, which is an MAOI, monoamine oxidase inhibitor, one of the first classes of antidepressants known to man, and it starts to help her a little bit. And then they add lithium, and although it makes her shake, and you can see this, by the way, in some of her later videos, the hand tremors, it gives her just enough liftoff that she is able to do dialectical behavioral therapy, where you work on your thoughts, you work on making a life worth living, you're introduced to concepts such as radical acceptance of the fact that you are depressed, and you go about trying to create experiences that you can almost put in the bank to guard against suicidality. Because in DBT, I've been in DBT for 6 years, it's really interesting. People go into DBT and they're suicidal, or maybe they're using drugs, and the therapist will radically accept them where they are and say, you know what? For how much pain you're experiencing, your behavior makes total sense. And let's go from there. So Naomi has been doing DBT for a really long time, and she starts to build a community, activities with other people, arts projects. She writes her book. The book is beautiful. You should read it. Don't think that because Naomi Judd lost this last battle with depression that she has nothing to add to the conversation. In fact, she's more of a soldier for our cause than ever. But I do have some remaining questions. Why didn't they try tricyclic antidepressants? It's a totally different kind of antidepressant. Taylor Hawkins was on it when he passed away. And I've known people who respond to tricyclics and nothing else works for them. Why did she never try Pristiq or Vibrid or Trintellix? Or was she just too tired that when the depression hit again, she just didn't want to write about it? Or maybe I missed it somewhere in my research. I don't know. But the thing is that depression is a very, very cruel disease. And what I'm here to suggest, even though I have a lot of questions, is that we're here for each other so that we can trade information about tools that we can stock our toolbox with, so that the fight never gets so bad that we just give up. Now, you know what? Some of us will lose, but the more of us that coalesce on communities like this one, the better our chances are. R.I.P. Naomi Judd. And that is it for this week's edition of The Radioactive Patient. If you were strengthened by anything that was said in this video, please make a comment. If you're having symptoms, please make a comment. Subscribe if you want. I'm not here to hit you up or try to blow my channel up. This is just a community for those of us who want to stick around and those of us who love music. So until next week, ciao for now.